Hello everyone, Pierce Nation here. Welcome back to the news segments. It's been a while since we've done one of these. Basically, I'm just gonna go over some cards, and if you're new to these segments, we're gonna go over the cards. I'm gonna let you know if they're good or bad. I'll go from 1 to 10. You know, like how good a card is. How good it'll be in a specific deck or archetype. But this is one that I need to go over. I don't want to hold it off any longer, and I want to go ahead and just give you the stack and give you the details about the stack, and you know, is this deck worth paying top dollar for, and is it really worth investing into if you know a deck is expensive or cheap. This is and basically based off the anime deck. So the more spectacle is it's going to be cheap and less expensive, more than likely, because anime cards normally don't worth a lot unless if it's got Blue Eyes or Dark Edition under the title. But this is a Gandora, probably not going to gain that much attention, which you know is what it is. So let's go ahead and go over this and I'll explain to you if they are good or bad. I have not personally read any of the cards, so this is not really a hot take. But it kind of just is what it is. So this is the Gandora G, the Dragon of Destruction. If you control Golden Sarcophagus of a Light, you can start from your hand. Gains 300 attack for each banished card. That is a really good effect. Not great. Pay half your life points, destroy all of their cards on the field, and if you do banish them, then it's supposed to summon one level 7 or lower monster from your deck that mentions Gold Sarcophagus of Light. Also increase its level by the number of cards destroyed by this effect. Pretty mid, not great, but I don't like paying half for really anything, unless if you know the Golden Sarcophagus of Light actually like boosts what you're doing. But what sucks is to get this out, you have to have the Golden Sarcophagus of Light, and I don't know if it can be destroyed by card effects, and if it does, then this is really bad. Again, I said like the banish card thing, awesome. It's a 0/0, like you know for what it is. If you get 10 banish cards, then that's 3,000 attack. Not bad. So we will continue to go over this. The next one is the Silent Swordsman 0. During your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1, which, I mean, yeah, okay, whatever. Number 2, if this card's level is higher than its original level, it gains attack equal to the difference times 500. So, turn 1 of the standby phase, it will be at 15, which is not exactly that high, and this will not make a difference in a grind. With the other card that we have seen, which is the boss monster, obviously it's Gandora X, but this doesn't really do a whole lot. But the second part of the effect might. Your opponent activates an effect that targets a Golden Sarcophagus of the Light or a monster that mentions it. You control quick effect. You can negate the activation. If you do, increase this card's level by 1. So this card is, I'd put it at 5 out of 10, because the first effect is really bad. Second effect, kind of really bad. Third effect, gets negation, but only things that target. Because, like, it's good and bad, because you're not really going to be targeting a lot of things nowadays, even though there are a lot of decks out right now that do target. So, like, there's good opportunities there, but this overall to me is a bad card. So I'm not personally a fan of it. So, on the next, the Silent Magician 0. You can only use the third effect of this card once per turn. Okay. If your opponent draws a card, increases card's level by the number of cards drawn. If this card's level is higher than its original level, it gains attack equal the difference times 500. So it does the same thing as the other one, which okay, it's okay. It doesn't really have a way to special this one out. When your opponent activates a spell effect while you control Golden Sarcophagus of Light, quick effect you can negate that effect, and if you do, increase this card's level by 1. So they're all. So this is basically just like the Horus cards, but worse. Is you have to control the Golden Sarcophagus of Light in order to get these effects. You'll be able to negate, stop targeting the gate. You have to have it to even summon Gandora. That's just I don't know, dude. That don't sound good to me. It sounds really bad, but it could get better. I don't know. So you can only use each of the first and second effects of the card once per turn. This is Tri-Color Gadget, which want to play in gadgets? Maybe, but I don't see you really doing it. Maybe. This card is normal special summon. You can add 1 Golden Sarcophagus of Light or 1 spell trap that mentions it from deck to hand. Card is destroyed by battle card effect. You can set 1 stronghold, the hidden fortress, directly from deck. So, they're both hard once per turns. Far, yeah, they're both hard ones. So I mean, this card's okay. It seems like a starter, but again, I don't know what the spell is. Looks like it'll be after this. We'll get on to that in a second. Let's go to Marshmallow. The last card was pretty bad. It was like a 3. Marshmallow here. You can only use each of the first and third effects of the card once per turn, which means it probably has like a special summon effect in the middle or some sort of like condition. During your opponent's turn, if you control Sarcophagus of Light, quick effect, you special summon this card again. Has that same clause, but at least it has a special summon clause. While you control Golden Sarcophagus of Light, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, your opponent's monsters cannot target other monsters you control for attacks. Okay. The Golden Sarcophagus of Light better have like some like effects surrounding it, or it's gonna get really bad because of the cards that are around the Golden Sarcophagus of Light. Third effect, if this card is destroyed by card effect, nothing else. Summon 1 other Marshmallow from hand, deck, or graveyard, or amongst your banished cards, and if you do, inflict 1,000 damage. So, I mean, you could play Marshmallow, and then you could play the actual. Actually, no, I believe you have to summon the same one. That kind of sucks. So you play 3 of this guy. Like, what's the payoff? Nothing. Probably not. Golden Sarcophagus of Light, the big card the whole deck is around. Cannot be destroyed by monster effects while in spell and trap zone. First of all, I do not like that. Second of all, during main phase, you can have 1 card that mentions Sarcophagus of Light from deck to hand. 3, if your opponent special summons a monster from the graveyard, you can discard 1 spell, target 1 of those monsters, send it to the graveyard. That seems to be a pretty alright card. Let me use each of the second. Okay, second and third effects are hard once per turn. If you made that third effect where it wasn't a hard once per turn, this card would be broken. And the only reason I say this is because that card with that effect could do so much damage, but it doesn't because it's hard and it shouldn't be. Because now, in all reality, you're not going to be drawing a million cards with this deck. So, being able to just discard things as a cost is fine, because you can't mix it with, broken archetypes. This is Silence of Time, turn silence, quick play spell. You can only activate this card once per turn. Target one monster you control, increase its level by 3. While you control Golden Sarcophagus of Light or a monster that mentions it, negate any of your opponent's monster effects that are activated in response to this card's activation. Okay, I don't really see that gonna happen very much, since it has to be in response to the activation, but okay. During damage calculation involving your monster that mentions Golden Sarcophagus, you can banish this card from your graveyard in the battle phase. That card is really good. The first effect kind of sucks, besides you upping the level. The second effect, during damage calculation involving a monster that mentions that card, banish it in the battle phase. Perfect. Like it. I like that effect. That's a really good card. I would play 3 of that thing, no doubt. Not for the first effect, but for the second one. Bond between friends. Only activate this card once per turn. You control Golden Sarcophagus of Light or a monster that mentions it. Special summon up to 2 level 4 or lower monsters that mentions Golden Sarcophagus of Light from hand or deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. Okay, so this deck is going to be a little weird and it's going to lock you out of the extra deck, so I wouldn't even try to play with an extra deck. So I'd basically try to play this with like something like Dogmatica or something, or Horse. Well, you can't really do Horse because this thing locks you out of the extra deck. And you're not playing Fire, so you can't put the Diabella Star package in here or anything, because this thing will lock you out of the extra deck. It's kind of funny, but it is what it is. And that seems like a pretty crucial card that you kind of gotta have. This is Silence Towards the Future. I'm going to activate this card once per turn. It's another hard once per turn, but it is a quick play. Add one monster that mentions Golden Sarcophagus of Light from deck to hand. Then, if this card was activated during the battle phase while you control Golden Sarcophagus of Light or a monster that mentions it, each player draws until they have 6 cards in their hand. Yeah. That's kind of not okay, but 10 out of 10. That's a searcher and they draw till they have 6? It was activated in battle? Now, the reason why I'm not going to say this card is a 10 out of 10, I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10, is number 1, it's a searcher. Right. Number 2, it draws till you have 6 cards, but the reason why I'm bringing it down a peg is not because it's a quick play. I actually love that it's quick play. What I hate is there's a condition that has to be met to get the draw in the first place, which is you have to use it in battle phase and you have to have the Golden Sarcophagus of Light. So there's already 2 conditions that have to be met. Second of all, it's not like you just get the payoff from it, your opponent gets the payoff too. So like yeah, like I almost would never want to do this in battle phase. Never. Simply because I would probably get hand trapped to death. Or maybe this deck I'm thinking this deck wants to play during battle phase. Is what I'm thinking. And if that's the case, then this could be possibly a really crucial card, which could be like a 9 out of 10. But either way, I'm giving it a good solid 8 out of 10 because it is a really good card. I just don't like that your opponent gets 6 cards as well. Don't like that. So next we have the last card, which is the Stronghold, the Hidden Fortress. The main effects, puts this card as an effect monster with the following effects. Machine, Earth, level 4, 0 attack, 2000 defense. This is also still a trap, so if it gets flipped face down, it will go back in your spawn trap zone. Gains 1000 attack for each golden sarcophagus of light or a monster that mentions it. Control. Okay. Once per turn, when your opponent's monster declares an attack where you control golden sarcophagus of light, you can destroy that monster. I mean, it's fine. It's a once per turn thing, like whatever. Like, I mean, I get it. It's a body, I guess. Until I see more support, that I don't see this doing anything. You want me to be honest? I give the whole archetype itself 5 out of 10. Go back to where it was. See, I've had a problem with Yu-Gi-Oh decks here lately, where like everyone wants to like overhype the decks, whatever. I'll go back up here to Gandora. But like every deck that I've played here recently, and that is coming out in the future, besides what we have now, where we just got Superion, whatever. Every other archetype is just dog shit, and they're not good, and Konami's not putting out bigger and better things. It's just the same shit over and over, and we're getting more decks, and the meta is trying to evolve around these worst decks, and it just is not working. We need a ban list. We need things to come off the ban list because the format's kind of dry. And by dry, I mean everyone gets a piece in at the meta, and like it's like not fun. If you want me to be honest, because this is a competitive card game where the players that put in the most work should be rewarded, and we should have strong decks that only those type of players should be playing, and the format kind of sucks. I personally, right now, I had to say, what is the best deck out right now? I would like almost 100% say Infernoble Knights, and I don't play Infernoble Knights. I've never played Infernoble Knights. They have the best case scenario. It's a deck that almost never stops playing. You can negate 5 cards, and Infernoble will still do something. Deck's just absolutely cracked, and there's no other deck right now that does what Infernoble does. Unchained, it's cute, and personally not a fan. I've played Unchained. I've beat people playing Unchained with various rogue decks that are rogue, really aren't in rogue, because we have like, I don't know, like 36 meta decks right now, which should not be a thing. And you can try to correct me on this. I did get the rundown of the top 64 that was at YCS. There were 30 different decks. 30 for a fact. Not saying there were 32, because that would be like half the percentage, which definitely did not happen. There were some sprite builds. There was a branded Blue Eyes deck, which don't know why that was in there. It made it to the top. Don't know how, but it did. There was a Labyrinth Exodia deck. There was, these various other decks where the format is so balanced that it's just terrible format to be in. I do not like the state of Yu-Gi-Oh right now, and it's not because I'm a meta player. Like, I will play any deck that's good. I've played Unchained, and people talk so highly of it, and they're like, "Oh, it does so good in events," and for me, it's boring. It does the same thing, and the choke points so noticeable that you can just pluck them right out. Which is personally why I don't like to play those decks. That's why I sold Unchained, because I'm like, look, I don't enjoy it. I've played it. I do the combos. I understand how the deck works. I'm not a fan. Second of all is Rescue Ace. So let me go ahead and just address the elephant in the room, because Rescue Ace is like currently one of the best decks out right now. I like Rescue Ace, but it is pretty fragile. But it is a fragile deck that if you do not kill it while it's down, that it will come back and it will beat you, because they can set like ungodly amounts of back row and just consistently play until you kill them dead. Like, Rescue Ace is not an easy deck to beat. You have to be very skilled in what the cards do in order to beat the strategy. It's not something that, for me, it really bothers me, because I know the two main checkpoints is Impermanent Turbulence or Ask the Rescue, or Ask the Emergency. Because the emergency is where they're gonna plus. That's the main card. If you hit the emergency, unlike other decks, Rescue Ace is very straight to the point. Where if they can't get to Turbulence, they will emergency to it or emergency to prevent her. They're not gonna go emergency and special impulse. Not impulse, but is it impulse? No, airlifter. They're not gonna rescue into an airlifter, whatever. So like, basically the point that I was getting is we've got some pretty good meta decks right now, but they're not broken, which is sad. Rescue Ace is a tier 1 deck right now, because no other deck's doing it. Like, the decks are just so bad. Like, I went to locals, played Drytron without the main like Herald line with hand traps, and was beating meta decks like crazy. Like, the best decks that we've ever seen, killing them. Like, absolutely insane. Like, here's my main thing. Like, yeah, I took losses, whatever. Is this deck power scale right now is a 5 out of 10. The deck is really bad. Like, I mean, the cards that have been announced, like, cool, I guess. I mean, more power to you, but like, it just doesn't do enough. Not only does it not do enough, but these new archetypes they're making around, they rely on one simple card, and this Gandora deck just gets bodied by literally anything. Like, if you can get the Gandora, great. I don't really see it happening, because this deck is just not that broken. There's not, like, it's hard to get started. It looks like it wants to play in battle phase. Yeah, it gains 200 for each managed card, blah blah blah, whatever. But like, here's my main thing: is normally a card with the effect gains 200 for each managed card would be a good card, but it's really bad because the only way you banish stuff is if you're blowing stuff up with its effect. And second of all, I'm pretty sure this can't be destroyed by monster effects, right? Can't be destroyed by monster effects while in spell trap zone. So yeah. So it won't blow up your sarcophagus, which is the thing that I was afraid of when I was originally going over it. But it just the best way I can say this is it just basically auto loses to itself, because you literally have to blow everything up to get anywhere, and it just doesn't, like, okay, yeah, it blows everything up and banishes, whatever. What if you can't blow stuff up? Like, they got monsters on field like a dragoon or whatnot. I get the monsters they're making now are more fragile than they've ever been because they don't have battle protection. And the only card in this deck that has protection, period, is the freaking continuous spell. And it just can't be destroyed by monster effects. So if you're Cosmic Cyclone, you're damned to bad luck. Like, just absolutely insane. It was like one good card, and it's just because, like, oh, if you control a card that mentions it, like, if they'd done that for the entire archetype, the deck would be like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. The reason that it's not any higher is it doesn't have an end goal. The end goal on this deck, the ceiling is so low. Like, there's not really much you can do. It locks you out of the extra deck. So you can't link spam. You can't, like, make synchros, exes, and whatnot, because your main spell locks you out of the extra deck, which is ultimately bad. So, I mean, that's just my final thoughts on this archetype. Like, this archetype is really bad. Like, and as my first, like, new segment back, like, I get to start it off with this deck. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, this deck, I wouldn't even look forward to picking this thing up. This looks like an absolute dumpster fire if I've ever seen one. Like, I'm just gonna skim back over the cards again and just give them a quick little skim here. But they don't really do anything. Like, parting negation, spell effect. Activate a spell effect, which means it has to be face up. Not a spell card, a spell effect. They're different. Unless if they change it. The way they have it sounding, it sounds like the effect of a spell card. This is exactly how it'd be written on a card. See, I like this card now because I understand what this card can do. This card can get things rolling. And specifically, how well it adds spell or trap. We know what spells or trap to do because we've been over it. This card's kind of irrelevant, but, like, I guess. I mean, yes. I still only like the second part of that effect. I still hate the first one. Why would you increase? Well, I mean, it still doesn't really accomplish much. I mean, it'll put these guys to 25, but then again, it doesn't really accomplish much. That's my main thing with this deck. Is the end goal is not that high. The ceiling is very low for this deck. Yeah, you can get a few more, like, added deck, but here's the thing. These are hard once per turn. Like, you don't activate one. So it's not like you can stack it. Not like, it's broken or something, because they're not. That special's 2 level 4s, which is great. You can get the other 2 out. The thing with this one is target one monster increases level by 3, which is kind of dog shit. And then this is the one where you And a monster that mentions Golden Sarcophagus of Light, and then you can draw cards if it's during the battle phase, and if you control the Golden Sarcophagus of Light. You and your opponent both draw 6, which again is not really that good. So again, it's still 5 out of 10. Like, this deck is just ultimately bad. I stick to my original thoughts. I don't like the deck. I will not pick it up until they prove that they can print some better cards than the ones they have here. Because to me, this deck is really bad. I do not want it. Do not want to even play it. I'm going to play it at locals. I will smack them with whatever deck I decide to build. Because, I mean, this is just a really bad deck. Like, I would not pick this up. Like, period. This is a waste of money. If you want it for an anime deck, you want to play, you know, your buddies casually, go for it. Good casual deck. Anything meta, like where would it be on the tier list? This thing is a rogue. This thing has not seen any play. I don't think this would ever see the light of day with the current cards we have. Alright, not a good deck. Looking forward to it. Meta deck, not very good. So without further ado, go ahead and end the video here. It's a little longer than a new segment than I personally like to do, but I want to go ahead and explain this a little bit because I had never been over this archetype. Just carefully reading it, evaluating the cards, and just figured out this archetype's kind of bad. So without further ado, I'm Pierce Nation, and we'll see you in the next video. Pierce Nation out.